Today we'll be starting with the cells of the immune system. Last class we had done hematopoiesis, and during hematopoiesis we studied that the hematopoietic stem cells can be basically divided into two extremities, the common lymphoid progenitor and the common myeloid progenitor. It's just a recapitulation of what I'm saying. The common lymphoid progenitor can be divided into the lymphocytes mainly, that includes the natural killer cells also, and the myeloid progenitor includes the granulocytes, that is the eosinophil, basophil, neutrophil, and we have the dendritic cells, the megakaryocyte and the monocyte. So this was something we had gripped in our last class. Now as we move on to the cells of the immune system, we start with the different cells. So we start with the megakaryocyte. As you can see, their function is platelet production. So they do not contribute much to the immune system of our body. They have a definite function relevant to blood clotting. Next, we move on to the lymphocytes, the B and the T lymphocytes, very vital cells of our immune system. As I said in our earlier class that if we consider immune system, our immune system has an innate immunity. So if you remember the class, we had an innate immunity and we had an adaptive immunity. So when we talk about these two branches of immune system, in my class also I had told you that when we talk about adaptive. So when we talk about the lymphocytes, these are arms of the adaptive immunity. That is, a pathogen invades our body, and after a certain amount of time, say 72 to 96 hours, if you remember, the adaptive immune system is gradually activated. The main players of the adaptive immune system are the lymphocytes, which can be broadly divided into the B lymphocyte and the T lymphocyte based on their function. The B lymphocyte is associated with recognizing the pathogen and producing an antibody against it. The T lymphocyte is associated with, there are two defined categories of T lymphocyte. One is the helper category cells that helps the B lymphocyte, and the other is the cytotoxic category of cells which helps in killing of infected cells. So for now, let's restrict to this much of definition. So you can see these are the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes. The B lymphocytes are round with slightly indented nucleus, few granules. They play a big role in adaptive immune response. Next, we move on to the plasma cells. Plasma cells are nothing but mature B lymphocytes. So whenever a B lymphocyte is activated and it is mature, these cells are basically activated mature B lymphocytes which are now capable of producing antibodies specific to a particular antigen. Next, coming to another cell of the common lymphoid precursor, that is natural killer cell. Even though natural killer cell is a lymphocyte, if you remember, in the last test class I had said, if from the origin point wise, you have to consider that they have evolved from the common lymphoid precursor. But if I think from the functional status quo, the functional status quo is they are associated with innate immunity and they function similar to that of the T cytotoxic cell. So even though they are of the common, they are lymphocytes, they play a vital role in the innate immunity. Morphologically, they are similar to the T lymphocytes, and functionally also, they are similar to the T lymphocytes, even though they lack a very vital receptor of T lymphocytes, T cytotoxic lymphocytes, which is present on the surface of T cytotoxic lymphocytes, but not found on the surface of NK cells. So it's a mixture between, when we think about the functional aspect, it is a mixture between the function of T cytotoxic cell and it is a part of the innate immunity. But other lymphocytes are all part of adaptive immunity. So this is one example where it is a part, one of the lymphocyte is part of the innate immunity. Now coming to a fourth category of cell, this is a natural killer T cell. This is basically a T lymphocyte as the name suggests, but it is having phenotypic similar with natural killer cells, hence they are known as natural killer T cells. So these are the effector cells. They play a big role in combating the pathogen in multiple ways. Now coming to a very two important cells of the body. These cells are, one is the dendritic cell and the other is the mast cell. Both these cells are found in tissue spaces, times they are found in blood also. Mast cells originate from myeloid precursor cell. Dendritic cells originate from myeloid precursor cell as well as lymphoid precursor cell. If we look into where they are positioned in the immune system, mast cells are most cases, as I said, found in peripheral tissues. Dendritic cells are also found in peripheral tissues. Dendritic cells are also found in the secondary lymphoid organs and to some extent tertiary tissues. The major function of these cells, is to engulf a foreign pathogen, process the pathogen, and present the most foreign part of the pathogen to the cells of the adaptive immunity. However, regarding the point of phagocytosis, that is the function of dendritic cells. So dendritic cells can engulf any foreign invading pathogen, process the pathogen, and then can present the most foreign part, which is known as antigen, and then can present the antigen to the cells of the, remember I'm saying to the cells of the adaptive immune system, that is the T lymphocytes. Okay. But regarding mast cell, interestingly, they are found in tissue spaces. The moment there is a foreign attack or a bacterial invasion, what happens? Within the tissue spaces, the mast cell starts degranulating. You can see there are granules present in their cytoplasm. These granules contains active chemical substances. These chemical substances can bring about a lot of physiological changes in the body. One being, it changes the vascular permeability. That is, the permeability of blood vessel changes so that cells from the blood, within the blood vessel, can move out through the endothelial layer into the tissue space. So, mast cell in a sort of way recognizes the antigen, and since the immune cell lacks any Wi-Fi or telephonic communication, but it needs to inform the cells in the blood vessel that there is a pathogenic invasion in the tissue space, through the granules it liberates, which contains substances like histamines, leukotrienes, cytokines. These chemicals move into the blood, move through the tissue space into the blood, and stimulates the various cells of the blood to, or informs the various cells of the blood that there is an invasion in the tissue space. Some of you need to come out of your blood vessel and go there and fight the pathogen. So in that way, mast cell plays a very, very big role in informing the immune system about a pathogenic attack. So it plays a very vital role in. So now once we have done with dendritic cells, as I said, a very important population, and the mast cells, I emphasized on the importance of mast cells because it plays a very, very big role in inflammatory response. It tells the body that there is a pathogen. So it helps in inflammation. We move on to the next three categories of immune cells found in the blood. They all originate from the myeloid precursor cells. They are basically the granulocytes. They contain granules, and their granules can also liberate chemical substances which further helps in immune activation. So the first category is the neutrophil. They can play an important role in phagocytosis, and their granules also contain chemical substances which, when liberated, brings about certain changes in the morphological um, in the morphological scenario with respect to blood vascular system. Now, neutrophils also have another function, as you can see, just like dendritic cells, neutrophils, if required, can undergo phagocytosis. That is, they are also capable of engulfing foreign particles. Further, the next two cells, basophil and neutrophil, they are also granulocytes, and their main function is to produce active substances from their granules. Eosinophil plays a big role in allergic manifestations. The fourth category of the cell present here is a monocyte. It also originates from the myeloid precursor cell. It is, last day I had told you the story of how, no, I don't think so, I did it in your class, sorry. There's an interesting story related to monocyte. So I'll come to the story. Let me see if I can get that picture. So now let's look at this story. Let's, when we're talking about monocyte, let's finish it out here only itself. See, this is how the cells are moving in the blood. And there is a foreign invasion. So the moment there is a foreign invasion, you can see bacteria has entered. So as I said, there are local dendritic cells, there are local mast cells. So these local dendritic cells and mast cells, they recognize some of the dendritic cells, engulf the bacteria. The mast cells recognize the foreign particles, and then they start liberating cytokines. So you can see chemotactic molecules are liberated. As I said, these molecules often brings a change in the permeability of the endothelial lining of the blood vessels. The endothelial lining becomes permeable, and you can see cells from the blood are able to move out. You can see here a neutrophil is capable of moving out. Now, as I came to this story because I was talking about monocytes. So, monocytes are also circulating in the blood. So monocytes are also, as I said, circulating in the blood. Now, whenever these chemoattractants come, the monocytes also perceive them. And then the monocytes move into the tissue space. The moment the monocytes move into the tissue space, so you see a monocyte has moved into the tissue space. The moment the monocyte has moved into the tissue space, it faces the pathogen. After some time, this monocyte is capable of, just like a macrophage, engulfing this pathogen. So it starts engulfing this pathogen. So once this monocyte will engulf the pathogen, the monocyte, as you can now see, is having it now has that pathogen engulfed inside it. So the monocyte has changed into macrophage. Macrophages are cells capable of engulfing pathogens. You see, dendritic cell is a category of macrophages. But monocyte was initially not a macrophage. It was present circulating in the blood. Only when monocyte moves out of the blood in response to a chemoattractant being liberated by a mast cell, reaches the area of the point where the immune reaction is taking place and engulfs foreign pathogen, it gets converted into a macrophage. Now when it will, so it had come out of the blood as I showed you, and now it will again move back into the blood. And now it will again move into back into the blood. So this time when the monocyte is moving back into the blood, its morphological features has changed because it has engulfed a pathogen and it has achieved the status of a macrophage. So monocytes often get in this manner converted to macrophages. So we have macrophages derived from monocytes also present in the blood. So we understood about the monocyte macrophage concept. So there are a lot of macrophages that are derived from monocyte. Now we come to the macrophages. Macrophages as such are also originated from dendritic cells. So you can see the macrophages. Where did my cursor go? Just a second. So you can see the macrophages. They are capable of phagocytosis. That is, they're capable of engulfing foreign pathogen. And once they engulf foreign pathogen, they can process the pathogen and then they can present the most foreign part of the pathogen to the cells of the adaptive immune system. And these two cells are also present in our blood, but they are more or less associated with a different functional point. They are more associated. RBC is associated with oxygen transport. Platelets is associated with blood clotting. Coming to the granulocytes, this is a comparative view of the granulocytes we just discussed. You can see the different molecules that are present in the granulocytes. That includes proteases, that includes antimicrobial proteins. There are proteases inhibitors. There are histamines. So this is neutrophil. Then from eosinophil, we have chemokines, cytokines. Again, from basophil and mast cells, we have histamine. Now coming to this particular molecule, histamine. As you can see, many of the granulocytes are capable of producing histamine. Now histamine is an active chemical. Histamine is a chemical that can cause a lot of physiological manifestations. And in case of whenever many of us have allergy to food molecules, right? So when we take a particular food, that a particular molecule and that food may be considered as a foreign, and often the granulocytes, recognizing those food particles as foreign, liberate histamines. So the moment histamine is liberated, you can see the reactions that happens. Vasodilation. So your blood vessels are widening. So this is not a good reaction to happen. Vasodilation, smooth muscle activation. That means your blood vessel is widening, blood permeability is increasing. A sort of inflammation is gradually developing in the body. So most of the times, if we have a food allergy, doctors prescribe a anti-allergic. So next time you take an anti-allergic, for example, cetirizine or anything, you take an anti-allergic, go and look at the composition of what is there in the anti-allergic, and you will be seeing that this word antihistaminic is written. So most anti-allergic contains chemicals to nullify the action of histamine. So this was something I wanted to share with you people. So these are the three categories of granulocytes and the molecules present in the granules. And as you can see, neutrophil can directly engulf pathogen, harm the pathogen, induce vascular permeabilization, induce inflammation. Eosinophil, as you can see, helps in the formation of reactive oxygen species within the eosinophil. It has antiviral activity. It also helps in vasodilation, and it helps in modulation of the adaptive immune system. And basophil mast cells are capable of producing leukotrienes. They help in inflammation, again, modulation of the adaptive immune system and vasodilation. So we did the granules, the granulocytes. We understood the different three categories of main granulocytes. I also emphasized on the function of mast cells, and we did this story also. Now moving forward, this is another picture of granulocyte. I just wanted to show you this picture to highlight that you can see this is a monocyte, which is present in the blood. But the moment a monocyte moves into the tissue spaces, you can see certain morphological changes are being observed in this monocyte. You can see the number of pseudopodia has increased for one thing. And as it's evident that this particular cell has engulfed something, that is evident because there is a phagosome and we are seeing phagolysosome. So whenever you engulf a foreign particle, you engulf it into a small vesicle known as phagosome. Okay, so a monocyte in the form of a monocyte, it had engulfed a foreign particle phagosome. Now it is gradually being converted to macrophage. So you can see the phagosome has fused with the lysosome. You know that these are cellular organelles present in the cell. You have studied them in SEM 2. So whenever the phagosome fuses with the lysosome, it forms the phagolysosome. You all are aware that lysosome contains enzymes that can digest proteins. It contains proteases, it contains cathepsins, it has a low pH. So these enzymes are then liberated in the phagosome. When the phagosome and the lysosome fuses, the lysosomal material is liberated in the phagosome and the material in the phagosome is completely digested. So this is a gradual transformation of a monocyte into macrophage. This is how another important tissue macrophage looks like. This is a dendritic cell. The difference between a macrophage and the dendritic cell is that a macrophage is an active fighting cell. And you can see the protrusions are there, but the length of the protrusions are comparatively low, short. When we talk about dendritic cells, they are present in tissue spaces. They have long protrusions. The concept of phagosome, phagolysosome are also present in dendritic cells because these are antigen presenting cells. Mind it, macrophage and dendritic cells both can engulf and present antigen, but monocyte is not an antigen presenting cell. So as long as the cell is a monocyte, it is not an antigen presenting cell. It does not receive the status of a macrophage or status for antigen presenting cell. Once this gets converted to a macrophage, it then receives the status of an antigen presenting cell. Dendritic cells are basically antigen presenting cells. So this is about the three cells. This is something we discussed. And see, this is in detail how the phagocytosis is occurring. So you can see this is a macrophage. Bacteria is first engulfed. The bacteria, as you can see, is now ingested into the phagosome. The phagosome is, you can see, is fusing with the lysosome. So it's fusing with the lysosome. The lysosome contains enzymes which can digest biomolecules. So the lysosome liberates all its materials into the phagosome. So we now have, this is a phagolysosome. Within the phagolysosome, the bacteria is killed. So the bacteria is killed and digested by lysosomal enzymes. And finally, the digested product are liberated out of the cell. There is one thing to be mentioned here is that at times a macrophage ingests a bacteria, kills it, and liberates the debris. It is self-sufficient. But at times the macrophage understands that I will not be able to eradicate the total bacterial load that is present in the body. I need other cells to help me. So then, it is then that some of the processed bacterial fragments are then presented to the surface of these macrophages with the help of MHC class 2 molecule. So they present this MHC class 2 molecule, then present this fragmented bacterial parts, which are known as antigens. The main aim is that when a macrophage is presenting these antigens to the exterior of the cell, it is actually asking the cells of the adaptive immune system to come, to recognize, and to help. So that is a message. The macrophage is sending a message to the cells of the adaptive immune system, mainly the T lymphocytes, that you come here, you help. We need your help. We need the help of the adaptive immune system. So this is how macrophage at times can alone remove the bacterial load, or at times, most of the times, majority of the times, it sends the message to the adaptive immune system, to the cells of the adaptive immune system, that no, you come and help. I need your help. So you come, you understand what kind of particle this is, and accordingly, you come and help also. So macrophages play a very vital role in sending a message from the innate immune system to the adaptive immune system. So that is macrophages. And talking about macrophages, we just discussed, I have discussed the macrophages, the mast cells, and the dendritic cells. This is a comparative view of the three kinds of phagocytes that are seen. And if we look into the mode of action, the dendritic cells can be activated, the macrophage can be activated, the B lymphocyte can be activated. Now look, when B lymphocytes acts as phagocytes, the molecule that can activate a B lymphocyte is antigen. But when we are activating macrophages or when we are activating dendritic cells, you can see there is a word written known as PAMs, pathogen associated molecular patterns. So the microbes that infect our body, all microbes have a pattern on their surface. I think so, I discussed it the other day. So the dendritic cells and the macrophages both recognize the PAMs. Did we discuss PAMs the other day? So as I was saying, the dendritic cells can recognize the PAMs. So these are pathogen associated molecular patterns found on the surface of the molecules, microbes. And these patterns are recognized by receptors present on the dendritic cell or the macrophages. These receptors are known as pattern recognition receptors. So the dendritic cells and the macrophages have these pattern recognition receptors via which they can recognize the pathogen associated molecular patterns present on the surface of the invading pathogens. So this is one big difference of how these two cells are activated. But when we come to B lymphocytes, the activation of B lymphocyte is a bit more specific. In case of B lymphocytes, the pathogen is engulfed, the pathogen is digested, most foreign sequence of polypeptide is selected, polypeptide minded, a foreign sequence of the most unique sequence. I will not say foreign because all polypeptides are actually made up of a combination of the 20 amino acids that occur in nature. So the most foreign sequence of polypeptides is selected, and that sequence of polypeptide is then presented on the surface of the B lymphocyte. So this sequence of polypeptide behaves as an antigen. So regarding dendritic cell and macrophage, the recognition is much broader. They recognize a pattern via the pattern recognition receptors, while in case of B lymphocytes, they process the pathogen first and they present an antigen by the help of their MHC, by the help of a receptor known as MHC molecule. These antigen are then recognized by the T lymphocytes with the help of their own receptor. So this is the basic difference between these two categories of phagocytes and between this phagocyte. So both B lymphocyte is also phagocyte, macrophage and dendritic cells are also phagocytes. Another big difference, so the one difference is the way how they recognize the pathogen. For the first two, it is the pathogen associated molecular patterns being recognized by the pattern recognition receptors present on the surface of dendritic cell and macrophage. In the second case, it is the antigen that is usually presented by the B lymphocytes. Now, this antigen is actually also used to recognize the pathogen by the B lymphocytes. And once they recognize the pathogen by their receptors, the B lymphocytes engulf the pathogen and then present this antigen. So it's the same antigen that they recognize on the surface of the pathogens. They engulf the pathogen, process it, and they present the antigen again for the T lymphocytes to recognize them. Another difference between these three categories of cells is that the B lymphocyte, it's a phagocyte, I'll not say it's a phagocyte, it's an antigen presenting cell. It is phagocyte, it can undergo phagocytosis, but it's a professional antigen presenting cell. This cell is associated with the adaptive immunity. So this is specifically an antigen presenting cell of the adaptive immune system. But these are antigen presenting cells of the innate immune system. So this is another big difference. So they play a big role in the innate immune system. And B lymphocyte is specific for adaptive immune system. Although macrophages at times have also been shown to play a big role in adaptive immune system, but B lymphocyte is specifically restricted to adaptive immune system. It does not have any role in the innate immunity. So this was about the macrophages. Now coming to the T and the B lymphocyte development. So once we have studied the macrophage antigen presenting cells, and we saw broadly, we saw that there are the three classical antigen presenting cells: the dendritic cells, the macrophage, and the B lymphocyte. So we had a glimpse of B lymphocyte there. Now we are moving on while studying the antigen presenting cells. Now we are moving on to the T and the B lymphocytes. If we remember the story of hematopoiesis, the hematopoiesis stem cells gave rise to the common lymphoid precursor. From the common lymphoid precursor came two cells, the T lymphocytes and the B lymphocytes. Now, you can understand this, all these lymphocytes have receptors, because these receptors helps them to crosstalk with other cells. So that is a necessity for all these cells. In case of T cell, it has been seen that the receptor found in T cell is TCR. This T cell receptor is made up of two types of polypeptide chain. One category is the alpha chain and the beta chain, while some T cell receptors are made of gamma chain and delta chain. So the T cell receptors, which are made of gamma and delta chain, are few in number and are a very specific population, have a specific function. So these are the gamma delta T cells. Now, the other category of T cell receptor who have the alpha beta chain. So this alpha beta T cells can be again divided into three broad categories: the helper T cells, the regulatory T cells, the cytotoxic T cells. So this is the division of the T lymphocytes, a very simplified division of the T lymphocytes, because helper cells can again be divided into plenty of categories. So this is a very, as I said, very simplified division of the T helper T lymphocytes. So we have a gamma delta population, which has a very definite work for regulation and protection, whereas the other is the alpha beta T population that is broadly divided into the helper category, the regulatory T lymphocytes, and the cytotoxic T lymphocytes. As you can see from the name suggests, the helper T cells helps other lymphocytes, immune cells. Specifically, it helps the B lymphocytes. The regulatory cells, as you can see, it helps in immune suppression. At times, the immune system may be overactivated. So it needs to suppress the immune system. So it helps in immune suppression. And finally, the cytotoxic T cells is a killer cell population. It kills infected target cells. When we come to B lymphocytes, you can see there are two basic categories of B lymphocytes. The regulatory and some B lymphocytes produce regulatory antibodies, and some B lymphocytes produce conventional antibodies. And for today, our last slide, there is another way to divide the lymphocytes. So see, this is a T cell, this is a B cell. You can see this is the T cell receptor. This is the receptor by which it recognizes or crosstalks with other cells. And you can see this is the B cell receptor. When we talk about T cell and B cell, the main function of T cell is helping for antibody production, killing of virus infected cell, regulatory role. When we talk about B cell receptor, it is always antibody production. Now coming to the T lymphocytes. We have understood that all T cells have this receptor known as T cell receptor. The two chains, as I was just now saying, the two chains of the T cell receptor may be a alpha chain and a beta chain, or maybe a gamma chain or a delta chain. If the T cell receptor is made up of a gamma and a delta chain, it is known as gamma delta T cell. If the T cell receptor is made up of an alpha chain and a beta chain, it is known as alpha beta T cell. Now we are concentrating or focusing on the alpha beta T cell. From now on, whatever T lymphocytes I'll be talking about, you have to assume that I'm talking about the alpha beta T cells. Okay. Now coming to the T population. As I said, the most basic difference between the two T lymphocyte population is that the presence that some are known as T helper cells, while some are known as T cytotoxic cells. T helper cells, as the name suggests, they help. So they help. Who do they help? They help the B lymphocytes. Now, how do they recognize the B lymphocytes? They recognize the B lymphocytes by presence of certain receptors on the B lymphocytes. These receptors are known as major histocompatibility complex, MHC complex. So if there is a B lymphocyte and if it is having an MHC molecule and there is this antigen present here, so the T receptors recognize this antigen MHC molecule, and this arm, as you can see, it recognizes the MHC molecule. So the T cell receptor recognizes the antigen, and this blue color arm you can see, this arm is actually recognizing the MHC molecule. Let me show you to see. This is the B lymphocyte. So this is the MHC class 2 molecule. This is the antigen. You can see the T cell receptor recognizing the MHC antigen complex, and this CD4, this blue color receptor is known as CD4. It is recognizing the MHC class 2 molecule. On the other hand, the other category of T lymphocyte is the T cytotoxic cell. The T cytotoxic cell also has a T cell receptor that is common, but it can recognize proteins only when they are present in complex with MHC class 1 receptor. So this green one is the MHC class 1 receptor. And this pink arm present on the T cytotoxic cell is known as the CD8 receptor. So this is how the two basic population of T lymphocyte is differentiated. T helper cells have CD4 molecule, which helps them to recognize the MHC class 2 molecule. T cytotoxic cells have the CD8 molecule, which helps them to recognize the MHC class 1 molecule. So when we have understood that the T helper cells recognize MHC class 2 via CD4 and the T cytotoxic cells recognize MHC class 1 via the CD8 molecule. So the basic two categories of T lymphocytes. Next, we are moving on to the B lymphocyte. You can see there are two. This is one B lymphocyte. This is also a B lymphocyte, but this is now known as a plasma cell. Now, antibodies are of two categories. Some antibodies are bound to the B lymphocyte. Some antibodies are in solution moving in the blood. So we have membrane-bound antibodies, we have soluble antibodies. When the antibodies are adhered to the lymphocytes, so a B lymphocyte traditionally look like this. These are the membrane-bound antibodies. But if this B lymphocyte is somewhat activated, it starts producing its own set of soluble antibodies. So it will be generating antibodies and it will now start producing antibodies. At that moment, it gets converted into a plasma cell. So plasma cell is nothing but an activated B lymphocyte, which is now producing or generating or making a lot of antibodies to release it into the blood. Okay. So if you look into the morphological difference, when a B lymphocyte is converted into a plasma cell, you can see it has lost its membrane-bound antibodies. It has become enlarged. Moreover, the life of a B lymphocyte is long in this state. But when a B lymphocyte gets activated and converted to a plasma cell, the life of a plasma cell is only 5 to 7 days. Finally, this is the other lymphocyte of the lymphoid precursor cell belonging to the lymphoid precursor cell, the natural killer cell. The natural killer cell, even though very similar to lymphocytes, lack the CD8 molecule. So this is where they differ. The natural killer cells do not have the T cell receptor and the CD8 molecule, even though they originate from the common lymphoid precursor. Functionally, they are similar to the T cytotoxic cells. I'll come to that functional part later on. There's another difference. The other two lymphocytes, as we studied now, are a part of the adaptive immune system. So we have the T and the B lymphocytes, part of the adaptive immune system. The helper and the cytotoxic cells are part of the adaptive immune system. Natural killer cells, on the other hand, even though originating from common lymphoid precursor, being functionally similar to T cytotoxic lymphocyte, is a part of the innate immune system. So this is a very small schematic flowchart drawn here. Common lymphoid precursor, natural killer cells, B cells, T lymphocytes. We studied the two arms of the T lymphocytes, helper and cytotoxic. Helper are CD4 positive cells, recognize class 2. Cytotoxic are CD8 positive cells that recognize class 1. Helper can be further divided into, we'll go into the further divisions later on. For today, let's restrict ourselves here only.